Hey, Bobby. Hey, my Instagram and YouTube folk. See if we got anybody coming on yet. What's up, guys? Hey, Patel. What's going on? So, well, happy Tuesday to everybody. All right, let's see what we got going today. Thanks, everybody, for joining. What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Let's see here. We have YouTube for people who want to follow my screen. We got Instagram for people who rather just be on their phone. What's up, everybody? Waving to everybody here. Wave, wave, wave. So yeah, happy to answer any questions you guys have. We have some pretty exciting stuff coming down the pipe in the next month or so. The first is we'll be launching our daily newsletter around investing and markets called The Daily Peel, which we're super pumped about. I think you guys are going to love it because we're getting some incredible writers to make it super fun, but also super educational and help kind of teach us a little bit about the markets. The cool part is, with using the WSO community, been able to get a ton of submissions of applicants looking to help us with this. So the talent that we've been able to choose from has been awesome. And so I think the final product in terms of what everyone's going to get every day is going to be really high. And then we're getting closer and closer in terms of trying to sign a deal with somebody to help us run WSO Alpha, which is going to be the premium paid kind of investing service where people can kind of get opinions, follow along with a mock portfolio of something we're managing for people who have a super long time horizon. Let's start with the questions. Let's see if anybody has anything. We got Brian asking something, saying, hey, how strong is Syracuse University for IB roles now? So Brian, if you join the YouTube live stream, you can see my screen. I'm going to jump. It's a great question. I don't know. If we go to investment banking report here, and by the way, my interns have been working on cleaning up some of the dupes schools in here. So hopefully, I don't think it's done, but it's been cleaned up a little bit, some of the data. People are sometimes entering schools when they already exist. But if you go to the YouTube live stream for people on Instagram, you can see my screen, and I'm basically going to resources under reports 2021 investment banking report. And if you go under university statistics, you can actually look for all the different schools and try to get a sense of how many interviews that school's getting and how many actual offers and stuff. So that's the cool part. You can kind of see, and this is by banks, you can kind of get a sense of certain banks have preferences for certain schools and whatnot. So if I go, let's see here. Let me see if I can find Syracuse here. So for bulge brackets, Syracuse. Whoa. That was not happy. Okay, Syracuse for the bulge brackets, looks like it's ranked 166th out of a total of 188 that we have in there. So not great. Looks like it gets a little bit of interviews at BAML, Credit Suisse, and that's basically it from what I'm seeing here. It doesn't mean that there aren't kids getting interviews elsewhere. It just means that's the data we've collected. If I go down to other notable banks, let's see if they do better here. Syracuse. I'm having trouble here finding them. My eyes are blind too. Anybody on YouTube live that wants to ask a question, feel free. I'm here. It can be about recruiting, finance, careers, anything. Let's see here. Yeah, I can't find right now for some reason my find Syracuse isn't working. Syracuse, Pennsylvania, University of Sydney. Syracuse. Oh, that's bulge bracket. Let me try this. Yeah, I'm just saying University of Sydney here. So based on this data, I would not say it's really a target school. But guys, the way I see this is like, you can really break in. Syracuse is a fine school. You can break in from anywhere. This is the data we've collected, and we've collected a lot of data. And so like, it means it's going to be an uphill battle coming from there, but it doesn't mean it can't be done, especially if you know early on that's what you want to do. Someone's asking, can I look at UNC? Yeah, let me check UNC. Oh, it's probably typed out. That's the thing with the schools. University, or let me try Carolina. Here we go. Yeah, so surprising. University of North Carolina does real well. Ranked 10th for bulge brackets with a pretty strong showing at BAML, really strong showing at Wells. Not surprising given the location. And even UBS. Now it doesn't do well at JPM, Morgan Stanley, Citi, and Goldman's a little underweighted there. But overall does pretty well with the bulge brackets if we're talking about Wells especially. Let's check on the other banks. Carolina. Ranked 30th for other banks, with some outliers being Jefferies tends to recruit heavily there. SunTrust makes sense given the location. And then Raymond James, really heavily recruits there. What else? And then Piper and Harris Williams. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. But you guys, you can all look up this stuff here in the university reports. Iowa. Okay, I'll do one last one because I don't want this to be a school search. And you guys, by the way, I don't want this to feel like this is a school ranking. This is specifically for investment banking, like interviews and recruiting. It doesn't mean that there aren't people at complete no-name schools that are even on this list that don't make it. It just gives you a sense of where banks specifically pull from and kind of favor certain schools over others. So University of Iowa, I'm not seeing in the bulge bracket list at all from what I can see. Let me make sure I'm not messing that up. Iowa. Yeah, I'm not. Oh, Iowa. Yeah, I'm just seeing them ranked 81st in the other notable banks, with the only places they're really pulling from, or people are pulling, is BMO, Houlihan, and Ray J, Greenhill too, and Lincoln. Makes sense, a little more Midwest. Cowan. Oh, and Cowan. Cowan seems to be pulled out from there significantly more. But so yeah, University of Iowa's up there. Again, this is a little bit of a tough. It's not exactly apples to apples. You guys just, everyone wants to just see you. Everyone wants to just see the schools. Okay, I'll do UConn. If I can spell Connecticut. Bulge brackets, 149th. Not great. See a little bit of Goldman, a little bit of Wells, a little bit of JP Morgan. Got to be careful with this because some of this includes middle office, back office roles, so it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not equivalent necessarily. Connecticut, let me see. Well, it's got to be somewhere else. Here we go. Yeah, 105 on the other notable banks, UConn. So it's strictly like kind of right down the middle. You know what that tells me? It tells me you can make it. So anyways, any other question? If you guys can check this out, again, you just go to resources, investment banking report, and check it out there. I don't think we have, I think we show some of it. If you're not a WSO Premium subscriber, I think you can still see some stuff. Hey, Jim. Jim asks, hi, do you know if many people are quitting this year from bulge brackets and top middle market banks this year or late in the summer, and why it's happening this year? Hey, Jim. We don't really know yet. I think the bonuses for first-year analysts and second-year analysts are getting announced probably pretty soon. It's typically around this time. But they don't necessarily hit the bank accounts until, I think, late June, might be even July. It's been a long time. It's been almost 20 years since I got my my first bonus. So, but the question is, why this year? Why are they quitting? That's an easy answer. That's just work from home. It's been an absolutely brutal year in terms of work-life balance. So, so I think a lot of people who normally could have gotten through a second year, but for the first years, I think some of them feel a little bit lost, a little bit hopeless, and so they're kind of just calling it quits after year one, after they clear that bonus. That's my prediction, that in the next month or so, there's going to be a mass exodus from a lot of these banks, and there's going to be, I think, more than what people realize, especially second years, even if they don't have stuff lined up. I think the expectation is, I think a lot of people were already forced to kind of move home with family anyways, so people are already hunkered down, and I don't think too many people are in a rush to kind of jump back into the New York real estate. But yeah, what I'll say is it's going to be a great opportunity for those kids, guys and gals, that wouldn't normally get a look, to get a look if you're ready, even if you're at a boutique no-name bank. If you get some deal experience, the banks are probably going to be really, especially if the economy keeps recovering the way it is, the banks are going to be especially desperate to hire junior staff. I think, like, if you're a second year analyst, you're going to be having offers thrown at you like crazy. Here we go. Max said, what type of exposure to modeling can you expect as an intern? This is a YouTube question. Max, great question. Totally depends on the bank. I think even if you're not getting exposure to modeling, Max, you want to make sure you can put some of stuff on your resume. So whether that means doing self-study package like you see here, or lead modeling package, or if it means opening up models and rebuilding models that the analysts or the associates did at your firm, that's key to kind of making your resume look stronger. It doesn't mean you have to lie and say something like, oh, led the modeling on this specific deal, but you could just say something like reviewed discounted cash flow valuation models for, sense checking, specifically. So just you're getting those keywords on your resume. You're showing that you did take initiative. You just have to be careful on the interviews if you do have that stuff to actually know it and be able to talk about the numbers. Let's see here. Jim says they haven't fixed the issue after people already quit earlier on. Jim, I don't think they fixed the issue because I feel like they feel that there's a never-ending talent pool ready to take the shoes of people that quit. I don't think they value enough the amount it costs them to retrain everybody. They are making an effort to kind of do early promotions, do some protected stuff around trying to make it better, but I think work from home, the industry already struggled from kind of policing certain stuff, and then work from home, it's like people were on call 24/7, so it just made it worse. Damon asks, Patrick, is there a way to do IB type work with maybe 75% of the IB type hours and pay? What sort of jobs are those? I like finance, but not enough to do it 90 hours a week. Shooting for post MBA roles. You should look into corporate finance, corporate development, corporate M&A type roles. I think that's exactly like what you're describing. Typically hours and pay are about, 40 to 60 hours a week, maybe 70 on when you're in the middle of a deal, but rarely does it anywhere get near 90. You just want to make sure you're going to a firm that is actually pretty acquisitive and has a long pipeline of potential acquisitions lined up, so that you're not at a corporate firm that basically does 3 or 4, 2 acquisitions or 1 acquisition a year, and you're there for 3 years and you only do 1 or 2 acquisitions. That's not necessarily good for your career. So you want to make sure you're going into a seat that's pretty acquisitive. But I would say corporate finance, corp dev or corp M&A would be perfect for you, because you're still getting the M&A deal experience. It's just internally at a fund, or not. Sorry, internally at a company. Here we go. Ben says, what suits should I wear as an intern? Navy and charcoal only. Hey Ben, most places are business casual, so you can typically get away without a tie and a jacket. But in terms of how conservative you can be, yeah, charcoal and navy are a good bet. And charcoal being relatively dark gray, navy dark blue. It's just it's just easier. You don't want to be known as somebody trying to stand out for your fashion. So just get something that fits well. It doesn't have to be an expensive suit. You can get relatively cheap canvas suits for a couple $100 if cost is an issue. More like $200 to $500. You know, if you spend $400 on a suit, that's great. But what's more important is that you get it tailored. Spend the 20 extra bucks, 30 extra bucks to get it tailored so that it actually fits you well. And that doesn't mean, so that means like not super baggy, you know, not super baggy legs, but then also not super tight. You don't want to be like those runway models with the super tight legs and that suit that's like two or three sizes too small. So get something that fits nicely, somewhat, you know, form fitting but not tight. So you're not swimming in your suit, but you're also not about to break out of it. Let's see, here we go. So will things get better when working from home is over? Hey, Jim. I think morale will get better for first years, especially first year analysts. Will things get better hours wise? I think there's a little bit of a tension. We're going to try to, Wall Street Oasis is going to kind of keep trying to bring up the mental health issues that happen in the industry from the long hours and try to keep beating that drum. Unfortunately, I don't think it's necessarily going to get better. Hopefully, I think the bad thing about work from home is it kind of might have permanently changed the mindset of some VPs and MDs, especially the most the worst ones to work with, thinking, oh, now they're always on call. I think after your first year or two as an analyst, it's on you as an analyst to protect yourself, especially if you feel like, instead of just quitting outright, start trying pushing back a little bit. I know it's easy to say, harder to do. If you're already to the point where you're going to quit, you might as well try just pushing back and making it more reasonable and just being honest with them and just saying, you know, I can't do these hours. Worst thing they can do is fire you, right? You're about to quit anyways. Let's see, Patrick tells us, what kind of technicals would be most important to hammer down pre-interview for FP&A and aerospace? Your guess is as good as mine, but you know, if this is for an entry-level FP&A role, I would say probably best to just understand the basics, like the three-statement modeling, you know, how depreciation flows through the three statements, what are the different ways to value companies, stuff like that. I don't know too much about aerospace, so definitely do a little research on the aerospace industry, specifically who are the main players and how are those typically valued. Let's take one from Instagram Live. Some guy said, in terms of the suits, he said he'd go with a seersucker suit. Don't do that. From government accountant to IB, is it possible? Sule asks. Yeah, it's possible. I think the key here is, you know, I think you probably need a reset with an MBA, and you'll need to get into one of the top probably 20 MBAs or so. Benjamin asks, am I considering adding a mining and metals modeling course? I would love to. That wasn't on the next kind of list. I think the next course we're probably in development right now is a 13-week cash flow kind of restructuring modeling course for distressed modeling banking. No worries, Patrick. You're welcome. Thanks for joining, everybody. If you could hit the like and subscribe or whatever, help the algo, that'd be great. Let's see here. Thanks, Patrick. Follow up to my question above. Out of the top 15 MBA, could I go directly into Corp Dev M&A role if I don't have previous IB experience? If so, any companies that come to mind? Amazon. Damon, it's definitely going to be an uphill battle, but if you're at a top 15 MBA, it's definitely not unheard of, especially if you're kind of like showing that you're super into M&A and you have the modeling chops and you're taking those courses and you're like, hey, I know how to do this. If you have no deal experience prior, you might have to go post-MBA banking first to ideally an M&A shop where you're going to get a lot of deal experience. And then from there, you know, suffer for a year or two doing the 80+ hour weeks. But, you know, as an associate, it's typically not 90 to 100. It can be. This past year it has been. So I would say you probably need to go IB post-MBA before you can get that Corp Dev M&A role that is the 75% pay, 75% hours that you were talking about. One sec, need coffee. What time is it? 9:50. Make sure I'm not going to miss miss a call. No, I'm good. I'm still good. Let's see here. What do we got? If I don't get into investment banking right after college, has the ship sailed? Or is it still possible to break in? Hey, Yusuf, it's absolutely possible still to break in. There's kind of two major entry points. One is right out of college, obviously from summer analyst to investment banking analyst. The other is at the associate level. If you get in, if you go and become, go get a top MBA, you can very easily get into investment banking. It's so funny how so many people do that, and then they start investment banking, and then they're like, oh my gosh, this, not having done investment banking as an analyst makes being an associate super tough because you don't have the modeling chops. It's an incredibly grueling, tough role. So what I'll say is that, like, yes, it can be done. Yes, you can break in as an associate, but don't think it's the end all be all. The other thing you could do is, if you don't break into banking right out of college, is get a job in something related, or try to get a job in something related. So that includes working at the Big Four in transaction advisory services, ideally. I've done a bunch of interviews on the podcast where people start out in audit, then they transition to transaction advisory services internally, or they had to jump to another Big Four to do that. And then from there, totally easy, not easy, but very, very common to go from transaction advisory services to investment banking analyst. And sure, it takes a couple extra years to do that. But yeah, that's a very common path. And I would look at the podcast that I run. There's tons of paths to banking, and out of banking to other careers. Tyler says AMC stock is like taking candy from a billionaire. What's going on with AMC? Is it still ripping? Let me check. I'm actually really curious now. AMC. Let's see that's holding. Hasn't dropped yet. Sell. Just kidding. I have no idea. Don't listen to my. I don't trade in meme stocks. I try to not blow up my portfolio, one way or the other. Let's see here. Hey, yeah, no worries, man. No worries, Yusuf. This is a good question here. Adam asks, hi, Patrick, why is brand name perception more important than deal experience for buy-side exit roles? I kind of disagree with that. It depends on what buy-side exit roles. If you're talking like upper middle market mega fund, it matters more because that's just what the recruiters, they just know to pull top kids from the top banks, and there's enough of them that they don't have to look outside of it. So that's why brand name perception matters more than deal experience. But typically those kids at the top groups are already getting a ton of deal experience. Now, if you're talking middle market, lower middle market, brand name perception is just more important in the sense that people are more likely to take your call and give you a shot at an interview. That's the only reason it's important. I wouldn't say it's, but I would definitely argue it's not more important than deal experience. If you have deal experience and you're looking to get into the buy side and you're having trouble, it's probably more related to the fact that you're not networking properly and building relationships properly. So you're probably not going about it in terms of getting in front of enough people to get those interview shots. Because lower middle market, even some middle markets, the recruiting is totally all over the place. They'll recruit an associate whenever, and if you're hanging around the hoop and you can get into that process, and then you're really smart, you talk about your deals like you know them backwards and forwards, you're theoretically have as good a shot as anybody. Especially if you're like doing deals in specific niche that they invest in. Let's see what else we got here. AMC's still ripping. I'm not seeing that today. Maybe I'm not looking at it right. Let me see. Last 5 days. Oh, it was ripping. Definitely was ripping last week. It's kind of been bouncing around from what I can tell. Yeah, I'd say anyone looking to invest in meme stocks, just be careful. Marianne asks, is moving from a Big Four M&A to bulge bracket realistic after a couple of years? I'd say it's about to become a lot more realistic, Marianne, because I think they're going to need junior talent. It does happen, but I think it's going to be about your networking and making sure you're around the hoop. And by the way, there's also elite boutiques out there. that might be open to pulling from you. There's guys, when you think of elite boutiques, some of these elite boutiques have like punch way above their weight. They'll have like 30 bankers and do like $1 billion deals. And if you think about like the experience you're getting there versus like a bulge bracket bank and like an industry coverage group, sometimes it's better. Like I wouldn't hold bulge brackets as the end all be all. Like if you don't get there, game is over, especially coming from Big Four M&A. I mean, just get into banking. Get into banking. But just know what you're getting into too, because it's not for everybody. It's incredibly brutal in terms of work-life balance. And people kind of value other things nowadays. I feel like the younger generation really kind of values their free time and their luxury and their not their luxury, their leisure time. Let's see what else we got here. Appreciate you, Yusuf. Thanks for joining. How do I get into asset management at 37? I have an MBA and MS in finance. Hey, DJ. Asset management, there's lots of different parts of asset management. So it kind of depends what you mean by that. Like if it's private wealth management versus asset management at a big bank. If you have an MBA, I would start with the alum there and from whatever school you went to, and see if you can find and talk to and develop a relationship with people at the firms you want to work for. Meme stonks going crazy. Joey asks, are there really tiers between target schools? Hey, Joey, I don't think so. I think what you'll see, though, is certain banks pull from certain schools more often. I don't know if you were on my YouTube live stream right now, but I'm sharing my screen, and I was earlier, everyone on Instagram Live was asking me to look up the school stats because we have university statistics based on recruiting. So there you can see that like certain banks pull from certain schools more than others. So there definitely are more than tiers. There's more like preferences and like we just saw, like a UNC places really well into Wells Fargo, and that's probably more region specific for obvious reasons in terms of being in the Southeast. I'll do a couple more minutes, guys. Let's see here. Adam says, any tips to lateral within banking to one of the top groups of BB or generalist elite boutique? Hey, Adam, are you already working in banking? So you're saying lateral. I think, man, you're going to, if you're talking to people, if you're like actually have enough people where you're actually having conversations every week, like you're talking to people at these bulge brackets in the top groups or at these elite boutiques, and you're ready to interview, you have your technicals down, you have deal experience in banking, talk to them in July. There has to be a ton of spots open. And if you're ready and you've already built up those relationships, hopefully over the last several months, and even if you haven't, like start today, actually start reaching out and trying to get on phone calls. Then I think you could absolutely do it. I don't see why not. If they're one of the top groups, they usually have a ton of deal flow. Maybe some of the first years or second years are like, this is way too much, and they've moved on, or they jump early to buy side. Buy side recruiting is really off this year. It's just in terms of timing. We had a private equity interview boot camp like back in I think May or April. And we thought, we haven't missed it yet because it hasn't gone. This is for people for summer 2022. Usually it was almost 2 years prior that they were doing the recruiting session. They haven't even gone this year. So like I was joking that in the next couple months, and we have a private equity boot camp coming up in I think a couple weeks. So for those of you interested, it's a good time to do it because we think one of my predictions is maybe this year the private equity funds decide to interview both first and second years. So the people who are just hitting the desk plus the people who've kind of been there for a year and a half. And the rumor is that it might actually start in December this year for the bankers that are on there. So now's a good time to prep now and through the fall so that you're ready to kind of, whether you're a second year or you'll just be starting. And if you are just starting and you don't feel ready and you just want to get some deal experience for it, you don't need to recruit. It's okay. You'll have a shot your second year, and you might be better to wait till you're kind of can talk about more deal experience then. Let's see, here we go. Mihul asks, I have an offer at a bulge bracket that expires soon. What can I say to other banks to expedite my process? I think you should be in touch with HR and say, I have an offer with another bank that that explodes on this date. Is there any way to accelerate my process? I'm really interested in XYZ bank. That's it. You do it respectfully, and you can say, I completely understand if that's not possible. Just wanted to send an email to check. And you can say the same thing to not just HR, but you can send, if you have contacts within that bank, you can let them know that you have an offer, and you really like their group, but obviously you need to take the offer if the date approaches and you don't have an offer from somewhere else. Congrats. A couple more here. Let's see here. Let's see here. Lots of stuff. Hey, Warwick. Thanks for partnering with us. Currently junior interning at a large bank for sales and trading. What's your advice on landing an IB full-time analyst role? I go to a target school. Hey, JJ, I just make sure that you're kind of chatting with people in the roles you want to end up in. So if you're in an SNT, it's not the end of the world. You can make that transition. Just talk about more how you like the idea of the deal-related nature of the work rather than market-related nature. Say while you do enjoy the stock market and sales and trading, you feel like your analytical skills and modeling skills would best be leveraged on the investment banking team, and that's why you're interested in recruiting there. I think you can share that with HR. They're going to be more kind of focused on bringing on smart people, motivated people. So if you're at a target school and you're getting looks, I would just try to communicate that and talk to the people, people within the groups that you want to get to see if you can get into that process. I don't know if sales and trading and IB are a different process altogether, or if they have them together and then they split you at the end. Hopefully they're just different processes and you can get into the other. That's it for today, guys. My voice is not doing great, unfortunately. Need to do some laryngeal massages or some shit. But thanks for joining. Hit the like, subscribe button if you can to help the algo. But appreciate all of you. Hopefully you have, for those of you who graduated or finished up the school year, congratulations. For those of you entering into an internship, have an awesome time. Take care of yourself. Be careful for your health. Make sure you're safe out there. If you've done 2 or one all-nighter in a row, communicate with your team. Let them know that if you're not doing well, let them know. It's pretty rare. They don't want to be doing this. You're not seen as weak if you need to sleep after 30 hours. It's okay. And when you can, and that's why it's so important, when you can get that sleep, get home and put in and close your eyes and do some meditation, some deep breathing might help you get through the summer. And yeah, God bless all you. Love you.